stood in Parliament boldly accusing former President Jacob Zuma of selling out the country to foreign interests. He was the voice of the anti-corruption crusade. He's a self-proclaimed Marxist, Leninist, Fanonist, and Sankarist. This is the first one. He's also, a revolutionary, according to his self-proclamation. But now Floyd Shivambu finds himself at the heart of a storm, accused not just of political flip-flopping, but of outright betrayal, from condemning state capture to embracing the company of a man wanted for fraud and for rape. Shivambu's journey has taken a rather controversial turn that has shocked both allies and opponents. The MK Party Secretary General is currently under fire for visiting fugitive Shepherd Bushiri in Malawi, kneeling in his church, a move which prompted a sharp rebuke from all in South Africa, or most corners of South Africa. One that standing out was from Justice Minister Mamuluko Kubai and his own party that distanced themselves. This from a statement that they released. They distanced themselves from his actions. But we asked the question, what does this really say about the state of political integrity in South Africa? And one of the faces of our politics, which is Floyd Shivambu. And to help us unpack all of this is Pule Monama. He's a political commentator, he's a political analyst, and a very, very good friend of the station. Mr. Monama, thank you so much for joining us. Always a pleasure having you here on Salam Media. I really appreciate you giving us your time.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the nice intro. You asked a question. And the question is, what do we see in our present political landscape, particularly among the leaders and so forth? I think what we need to talk about is the manner in which our politics and the speed at which our politics have taken a U-turn. And my article was about that U-turn, that we talk about something today when it suits us, tomorrow we change it completely. And Floyd Shivambu is one such example. And I was serious when I said, when he confronted Jacob Zuma in Parliament about corruption and his relationship with the Guptas, the country really came to a standstill, because for the first time, somebody, a young fellow in Parliament, stood up to power and told the country that, in fact, the country is going down and this is the cause of it. Unfortunately, a few years down the line, he turns around and said, in fact, what I was saying was so wrong. There's no corruption. Nothing was stolen from the country. There was no Gupta. That's basically what you're saying. And yet the man you are accusing is still standing trial. We are sitting with a report of the Zondo Commission which implicates him in many ways. Now, that is, and I think what we need to do is to encourage our young people to start looking at these things, the statements, the rhetorics, very seriously. They must scrutinize, they must analyze what is said today will still be the meaning tomorrow. They must try not to follow an individual, they must try and follow an idea. An individual changes, and Floyd has shown us that I can change 360 degrees and behave as if I've never said those things, because that's how Floyd is behaving. For instance, you spoke about him going to Malawi. I don't want to delve into the question of his religion. In any event, in Good Friday, even the most celebrated heathen will go to Moria. We've seen that. But he goes there in that church. Behind him, there is a Zionist flag. I don't know if he noticed that. Right? Secondly, he then makes a statement that, in fact, this country has hounded out a black investor. Now, there's a difference between an investor and a scammer. Certainly, Bushiri is not an investor in this country. He can never be. That's why he had to run away.
I want to come to, I think, something that's very, very important that you referenced in your piece. You referenced Floyd Shivambu's, revolutionary stances that is always quoted. Fanon, Sankara, Karl Marx. What kind of damage do you think his recent actions do to those ideological movements, especially among the youth, among young people in South Africa, who there's a still large base which still subscribes to that kind of thinking and continues to see the likes of Floyd Shivambu as a role model?
Our line is not very, very clear. It's not very good. I couldn't hear you.
Did you? Okay, I'll just quickly repeat
Our
my
line
question.
is not very clear. I couldn't hear you.
All right. Can you hear me now? All right. We're going to take a quick break. We'll try and fix the line with Mr. Pule Monama, because I think this is a very, very important and interesting conversation. So while our technical team fixes it, we'll take a quick stinger and then we'll be right back.
Sapphire Global is an authorized financial services provider.
Penny Appeal's Education First campaign helps children to get access to quality education.
I'm 14 years old. When I grow up, I'd like to be a scientist.
We believe every child belongs at school,
And we want education, a better education.
learning and dreaming their way to a better future. With your help, we can provide classrooms, desks, stationery packs, and school shoes. Help make these dreams a reality. Visit www.pennyappeal.org.za or call 031 1100 573. Penny Appeal. Small change, big difference.
Hey Gulam.
Yeah?
Did I return your lawnmower last month?
No, Ba, you didn't.
Oh no. Now what'll I do? I wanted to borrow it again, man.
With Renegade Jewelers, you won't have to borrow or lend because the prices are so well trimmed on all gold and diamond jewelry. Alternatively, we could remake your old jewelry into a brilliant new design. Visit Renegade Jewelers at 151 Stevens Lamini Road, Musgrave, Durban. Renegade Jewelers, the family name you can trust.
Make a conscious choice. Sip for change and support Palestine Drinks Africa. With every can, you help end the genocide and stand in solidarity with Palestine. Choose between our original or sugar-free options available in a case of 24. Every sip is a step towards justice. Every purchase a powerful message of unity and support for the Palestinian cause. Contact 082 888 1440 or 082 7739 556 today and be part of the change. Palestine Drinks Africa. Sip for change. Liberty for everyone.
You know, if it wasn't so dangerous and absurd, it would be laughable and comical, because that's exactly what it is. But in his press conference with Netanyahu, he said, we will do a job with it. I don't think it deserves discussion on the fact that it's an extension of ethnic cleansing. If you listen to the clip, he doesn't even use the word Palestinians. He said, he wants to turn it into the Riviera of the Middle East, and it'll be great for jobs for people there. He can't even bring himself to use the word Palestinian. Netanyahu and Smotrich and Ben-Gvir only have the ear of Trump, egging on from IPAC and Israel, etc., then it is the extremely dangerous times for the Middle East.
Dr. Faisal Suleiman is the chairperson of South African Muslim Network.
Salam Media, a global voice for humanity. Breaking stereotypes, moving boundaries, joining hands. Salam Media. Humanity sets the agenda.
Welcome back. Still tuned in to News and Views with myself, Salailo Makwidere, and I'm still having a really insightful and brilliant conversation with struggle veteran political analyst Pule Monama on a very important opinion piece that he wrote on Floyd Shivambu. Mr. Monama, before we lost you there, I wanted to ask a question based on your piece that you wrote and how you referenced Floyd Shivambu's, past revolutionary stances. You mentioned Fanon, Sankara, and Karl Marx. And I wanted to know, what damage do you think his recent actions do to those ideological movements, especially, amongst the youth that subscribe to them and still somewhat view him as a role model?
A very serious damage to the minds of young people who saw him as a role model, as a reader, as a scholar, because he actually spoke the language they wanted to hear at the time. Now here he goes against the very principles he spoke about. And remember, the betrayal that I referred to is not just a betrayal of the nation, it's the betrayal of the people around whom he has modeled his ideas on. That is your Karl Marx, your Frantz Fanon, and Thomas Sankara, and so forth. And many people are looking in Africa at the Thomas Sankara ideas. They are looking at Burkina Faso today. They're looking at what Traoré is doing there, and they are trying to emulate that. And you go to MK and say, no. That which we called corruption is no longer corruption. It's actually good for the country. That is a whole lot of confusion you are bringing to the youth who are vulnerable.
The MK party, I'm glad that you mentioned them. They've distanced themselves from his recent antics. Obviously, that visit to Bushiri. Do you believe that's genuine, or is it damage control? Because I would like to think that a political party would vet, the appearances of its leaders, especially high-ranking leaders like a secretary general, especially on a day like, an Easter Sunday, where we know political faces will go to churches. Sometimes they would even go to mosques, everywhere where people congregate. They'll go there to buy face, to try and garner support. The president of the ANC has been to Moria numerous times. These are vetted, these are agreed on by the institution. But then you have the MK saying, well, we're distancing ourselves from this one. Do you believe that's genuine, or is it damage control on their part because of how the country reacted to it?
I'll give it a different label. I call it politicking. We will never get to know until later what the true meaning of what this is. But also, you must remember that Floyd himself is sailing on troubled waters in the MK party. He has never had peace since he got there for various reasons. Either because he's a threat to those who are unable to match him, or he has just been put there in order to destabilize his former party. One will never know. But quite frankly, I take what the MK party says with a grain of salt.
No, definitely. You speak of, not following personalities but following ideas in your piece. How can ordinary citizens practically apply this in a system where political parties often revolve around individual, almost cult-like personalities?
We need to de-educate our youth We need to begin to teach them how to think rationally, independently. We need to teach them how to think analytically. They must not just take everything someone says for granted, myself included. I'm just but a fallible human being. Today I can be a very good person, tomorrow I'll be something else. So we must go out there and deliberately re-educate and de-educate our youth so that when we leave this planet, they are independent, they can find their way around. But the way things are in this country right now, it appears that once our leaders die, we die too. There's nothing, because we emulate a person instead of the ideals that they espouse.
No, definitely. And just in closing, as you look at your crystal ball, as you analyze, Floyd Shivambu and how he's gone about his business in the last few months, looking at his future in South Africa's political landscape, looking at the role that he'll be playing, how would you analyze it?
In politics, there are many lives. You live like a cat. You make a mistake. You take a dive. You reappear somewhere else. You make it, and so forth. In the case of Floyd Shivambu, any right-thinking person will no longer want to associate with him because, and as I made that statement to say, he was so vociferous against corruption, and suddenly he embraces it. And that becomes a point of no return for him. I think if I had a choice, if I was him, I would actually take the route of Ndlozi and just remain a commentator and not get involved in politics. In that way, you are freer, you do not have to entangle yourself in things that you know are wrong, but because you want to please a particular leader.
And I would suggest we probably would never see that because in South Africa, well, politics are a career. They're seen as a means to make an income, to create business associations and contacts.
Well, I use a term. I said our politics have gone commercial. If you were to look at the way our political parties mushroom close to elections, you realize that it is not about the people. It's about the self. It's about, if I can get 5,000 votes, it gives me a seat. I've got guaranteed 5 years in parliament with all the perks. It's not about the people. It's not about the water that the people don't have. It's not about the electricity that people don't have. It's not about the health system that has collapsed. It's not about education. It's not about the security. It's about the self. And it's about time that our young people begin to understand that we are destroyed by this attitude of the self.
Really powerful words there, Mr. Monama. Unfortunately, we have run out of time. Always appreciate the conversation with you. Always eye-opening, and looking forward to chat to you in the not-so-distant future.
Thank you very much. I'm always there. I don't have bodyguards yet, so I'm available all the time.
Well, we're thankful that you don't have bodyguards yet. That was Pule Monama, struggle veteran. He's also a political analyst and a very insightful commentator when it comes to South Africa's current affairs, our history, and ultimately our future with how things are going. What do you make of Floyd Shivambu, his credibility? Do you think he still carries the same weight as he used to? What do you make of his role within the MK party? Do you think, they are most likely to further distance themselves from him as they have from, his recent stunt of visiting Bushiri. And I think a very, very important observation there is in the church that Floyd Shivambu was visiting, in that sermon, if you saw the pictures, that Easter sermon, there was big flag, big Israeli flag that was behind the pulpit. Big Israeli flag. And if you remember Floyd Shivambu and his time at the Economic Freedom Fighters, how vocal he was about the state of Israel, how vocal he was about anything and everything that was associated with the state of Israel. He was unequivocal. Sheesh. Interesting times. Going to take a quick break. When we come back, News and Views continues.